Hello, this is Qesheth. I am here to do a continuance of the series of classes that I plan on doing in the next month or so, entitled The Tarot, the Major Arcana, the Path of Return. In this series of classes, I will be talking about the tarot classes, to the tarot cards attributed to the past on the Tree of Life, and the significance to the initiate and what it means in his journey, as well as the meaning of the cards. I'm not the most technologically advanced, so just bear with me. These videos will be fairly simplistic in their presentation. Again, my name is Qesheth, and I am presenting this series of classes to you, hoping that you can learn and grow from this and that it will help you in your understanding of the major arcana of the tarot. So let us begin. We have already discussed path number 32 and path number 31, the universe and the aeon or judgment. In this discussion, we will be discussing path number 30, the path of the sun. The sun is the tarot numbered 19. The letter is Resh, meaning head, or the front of the head. The frontal lobes in contrast to the moon, the medulla oblongata, reason versus instinct. It connects Yesod, the unconscious, the astral world, to Hod, the world of form and reason. The planet for this path is the sun. This is one of the planetary paths. We talked about this in the previous class. There are 7 planetary paths, and each one of these will have a double meaning. There are 12 zodiacal paths, corresponding to the 12 signs of the zodiac, and 4 elemental paths. This is the path of the sun. The numerical value for the letter Resh is 200. Interestingly enough, if you break it out using gematria, it adds up to 510, which equals head. The trump is called the sun in both Crowley's deck and Waite's deck. The title of this card is the Lord of the Fire of the World. This is something to meditate upon. The Lord of the Fire of the World. The spiritual experience for this path is initial guidance by the higher self, the inner sun. The Yetziratic path description states that this is the collecting intelligence. It regulates the motions of the stars and signs. The signs or houses represent areas of our life. The stars are aspects of ourselves being brought into proper order. This path represents conscious determination, decision-making, and liberation from the base instincts. The color in the King scale is orange. Again, as I had stated before in the earlier classes, the sephira are generally colored in the Queen scale because they are objective, fixed reality. The paths themselves are generally colored in the King scale. The kings in the tarot represent the onrushing force of power, Hakma. The animals for this path are the lion, the sparrowhawk, and the leopard. Plants the sunflower, laurel, heliotrope, galingol, and dandelion. The stones, the sunstone, citrine, and chrysolith. The chakra is the Anahata chakra, which is located in the solar plexus. The weapon for this path would be the layman, or the bow and arrow. And interestingly enough, my name is Qesheth, and this is taken from the 3 lower paths on the Tree of Life. Quaff, Ta, and Shin, Qesheth, which is the bow, which shoots the arrow to Tippereth, the sun. Union with the HGA, the Holy Guardian Angel. That is the goal of the spiritual initiate's quest. Excuse me. The magical power that you would hope to attain would be the red tincture, or the power of acquiring wealth. The holy book in Thelemic philosophy would be Liber 7, chapter 4. Some of the gods associated with this path are Ra, the Celtic god Lu, Ops, Apollo, Helios, Ma, and Sekhet. In the bodily system, it is a circulatory system. The meditation for this path would be, in the sun is the secret of the spirit. This is a contemplation that you should do when contemplating this path. In the sun is the secret of the spirit. The ritual for this path would be Liber 200, Resh Vel Helios, or the adorations of the sun. These are adorations which the aspirant can do 4 times daily, at dawn, at noon, in the evening, and at midnight, to better connect with the solar source of our universe. In the sun lies the secret of the spirit. There's a lot more to our physical sun than what appears to the eyes. There's great secret, great mystery in fully understanding the sun that illuminates our universe. When I go through these attributions for these cards, the reason I do that is so that when someone wants to work with path working, they can understand and learn the attributions for each path. And that way, when they are doing path working, they can always be sure they're on the right path. And if something shows up that's not supposed to be on this particular path, like a unicorn in the astral world, then you'll know that go ahead and banish and stop the path working because you're on the wrong path. You somehow broken in astrally into another energy. So the learning of the attributions for these paths is very crucial. And again, I do recommend Aleister Crowley's 777 and the memorization of the columns concerning the Tree of Life. This will help you immensely in your journey up the Tree of Life. The astral world is full of teachers, but unfortunately not all the teachers in the astral world are there to give you true information. There are many that are set up to deceive and will lead the initiate in quest to nowhere. Liber Resh is a great ritual to do daily in order to connect with the cycles of the sun in your life. Because the sun is seen as it passes through the day, as it rises in the east, as birth. During its triumph, we have the prime of our lives. And then during the evening we come into old age, and at night death. And the same is seen in the seasons. On the tree of life, the Sephirah, Tiphereth, is the sun. This is the initiate of the minor adeptus. The geometric symbol for the sun is the hexagram. And let me repeat again. The Sephirah are objective reality, fixed reality. The paths are subjective reality. The experiences, the experience of the objective reality of the Sephirah. On the weight card is seen a child representing the HGA, riding a horse representing the instincts. At this point in the initiate's journey, his higher self begins to direct his unconscious, but he has not yet achieved the full initiation of the sun in Tiphereth. Again, this is a subjective experience. It is the experience of the objective reality of Tiphereth, but not the initiation of Tiphereth. Thus, as you can see here, he is turned away from the sun and the sunflowers, illuminating his unconscious, as seen in this path, the moon, which we will be discussing in a future class. The initiation of Tiphereth is called the initiation of the minor adept, the achievement of knowledge and conversation of one's guardian angel, or the highest self. This is the path of reason. Working with the reason to control and direct instincts represented by the path of the moon, Qesheth. So again, in Waite's card, we see the child and the horse. You can see that he is no longer having to hold on or stir the horse. The horse is directed by the will of the child, the HGA, that which was birthed in the card, the judgment, or the aeon. The sun has both straight and wavy rays, symbolizing the masculine and feminine principles that exist in all of reality, the opposites that bring together our physical reality into the perceivable reality we perceive each day. On Crowley's card, we see two children dancing with joy under the sun, under a hill, the mountain of initiation, that seems to be hedged in, not allowing them access to the higher initiatic experience of Tiphereth. Crowley says this about the letter Resh: a head reversed, the seat of human consciousness, which is solar, pertaining to Tiphereth, is in the head. So the seat of human consciousness, which is solar, pertaining to Tiphereth, is in the head. Resh is the solar letter. In shape, it is merely a big yod, implying the brain as the expansion of the spermatozoon. This is a very interesting statement. For if you see the letter Resh, which you should be able to see at the bottom of this card, it looks like an elongated yod. Yod was always represented as a seed, as a spermatozoon, the fire that moves through all of creation. Yod is the first letter of the divine name, Yod He Vav He. So it is the fire which initially begins in Chokmah and moves its way down the tree of life. activating the maternal waters of the Great Mother. This is the path where we use reason. For early in the paths, these first paths, the paths of the personality, that's really all we have. We only have our reason and discrimination to help us on our journey. We have not yet attained to higher levels of consciousness, so therefore we depend totally upon our reason, and our reason must be purified through the practices that I have mentioned earlier. Pratyahara is a great practice, or pratyahara is a very great practice for this. I call this self-observation, where one observes the workings of the unconscious and brings them to consciousness. To consciousness. Anything acting unconsciously in our path is going to trip us up. So even though it's a very hard part of the path to continuously observe your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, this is most important on this path, the path of the sun. Because again, it is the path of consciousness, the sun, that leads from the Sephira Hod to Yesod, the unconscious, or the astral plane. This is a mediating path between the two, where the aspirant must refine his reason and fully bring the workings of his unconscious into conscious realization, that he may later work with the path of the moon, which represents the unconscious. We talked about the path of the moon, Pisces, water, the unconscious of the human being, the personal unconscious, as Jung would call it. Again, at the lower paths of the tree of life, all have to do with the personality. These are paths that have to do with the initiate himself, with the aspirant himself. These are the first paths, and each one of them represent a purification, a balancing, a bringing into equilibrium, in order to prepare the initiate for the journey ahead. Like I had said earlier in a previous video, the temple must be made ready before the God will indwell it. And so the first part of the work is never the fun stuff. You know, when people come to these paths, they're looking for magic, they're looking for, all this amazing stuff that they can do, but they don't understand that these things cannot just be done. The magician works very hard to gain these powers, the powers of magic and the powers of working will. And so in the initial phases of the work, it all has to do with the purification of the self, the equilibrium of the self, the mastery of the self. Again, like I had spoken before, you must begin to master the inner elements. Because if you cannot master the inner world, you cannot possibly master the outer world, which is a really big part of the spiritual journey. You know, Western Hermeticism, Thelema, these type of things, they are not escapist belief systems. We are not taught to run from the world and hide from it. We understand the world to be the materialization or the concretion of spirit. So it is still spirit. It is not something that's not spiritual. I have so many people that tell me, oh, I'm at work today, but I can't wait to get out of here so I can go do my meditation or I can go do my practices because that's the spiritual part of my life. Well, no. Everything that you do is the spiritual part of your life, from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. Your thoughts and your emotions create your actions, and your actions create your reality. This is karma. Karma translates to action. Everything in the universe is karma. Everything is a result of action. So you can see now why the refining of your actions, the refining of your thoughts, the refining of your emotions is so important in the basic levels, at this basic level of the initiatic process. Because without this basic work, the basic building of the foundation of the pyramid, there is no hope for attainment of higher levels of consciousness. You cannot hope to fly if you're still chained to habits and ideas that no longer serve your highest will. Again, at this point in your practice, it's very hard because you don't have the guidance. Hopefully, you have a teacher that can help to guide you along your way. Because each one of these paths comes with an experience. And it's very helpful to know the attributions and know when you have attained to this path and know the experience of this path. So it's very crucial that you find a good teacher or a good school that can help to guide you. If you hope to do it on your own, that is fine. Study hard, work hard, and be committed, and you will attain to great knowledge. We'll go back to the Crowley card, where you see these two children dancing, because that is part of life. We must find joy in all things, even though at the beginning part of the path, it's very hard to find joy when you're really deeply looking at yourself all the time. It would seem like you're being self-centered, but you're really not. You're perfecting yourself for the good of the world. Every one of us puts off vibrations. We all affect the matrix. We all affect reality around us, regardless if we think we do or not. So every time someone attains to higher levels of consciousness, they help the entire creation. They help all of humanity by changing the matrix, changing the energy of the matrix. In the Crowley card again, you have the sun as the center, of course. These children are dancing gleefully because they have become unified. They're not in conflict here. Here they are unified and dancing together to one goal, to the initiatic experience of Tippereth. But you can see here that what appears to be a hedge or a fence, which would be related to Qesheth, the chariot, which is a path we will be discussing later. This represents, at this level of initiatic consciousness, the initiate has not yet reached the full spiritual realization of Tippereth. And so there is this veil, and I call it the veil of Parakith, which the initiate will cross once they leave the areas of the personality on the tree of life. The meaning for this card, again, is self-mastery. The work is the reason. For this path, what I would really recommend, of course, is self-observation, continuous self-observation. I would also recommend that after each day, that you go and recapitulate your day. Go over your day from the time you woke up to the time you go to bed, looking at each action and seeing how you could have done better. Because again, at this point on the path, until your reasons and emotions are governed by your highest self, you're still being governed by an uncleansed ego. And so things will still slip through that will affect your path. So at the end of each day, what I would like you to do is go ahead and recapitulate your day. Go through your day and observe what you did and why you did it. Be honest with yourself. Be blatantly honest with yourself. honesty is the best policy when dealing with yourself. Not everything you're going to see is going to be great, but that's okay, because remember, you're just beginning your journey. This is the path of the sun, of consciousness, which you will use to reason your way through the dark corners of your life. But the reason must be purified through spiritual work. Again, my name is Qesheth. I hope you enjoyed this video. The next video, the next card we will be talking about is the path of the moon that connects the kingdom with Netzach, Venus. This is the path that we were talking about, of the primal instincts, the automatic consciousness. And one of the practices also that I would like to mention is pranayama. Pranayama is conscious breathing. Again, if you have the book Raja Yoga, begin those practices of pranayama. What this actually helps to do, yama means binding, and prana. So pranayama, binding the breath, binding the spirit to a one-centered focus. So when I talk about the automatic consciousness, these are the reflexes, the automatic responses, the heartbeat, and also the unconscious, the heartbeat, the breathing. And through the practice of pranayama, we bring the unconscious into consciousness. But that's all I have to say for this path. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Like this video if you enjoyed it, if it helped you on your path. And again, my name is Qesheth, but I would like to point one other thing out. The importance of developing the reason is this: the automatic consciousness of the medulla oblongata. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I was looking. Uh, the automatic consciousness of the medulla oblongata always rules your life. When something happens, it's that reactionary instinct that automatically takes over and overwhelms the reasoning mind, the frontal cortex. Because at the base of the brain is the primitive brain, the oldest brain, the brain that we share with all animals. It is the brain of the basic instincts and emotions. And the unfortunate reality about this part of the brain is it acts faster than the reasoning. So you can see how important it is to develop your reason and your ability to discriminate, because because this will help you to overcome those automatic responses in your life when someone cuts you off or something and you just get mad. It'll help you to govern these automatic responses and bring them into accord with will. But that's all I have to say about this path. Sometimes I do repeat myself, but that is the way I was taught. I was taught it's better to repeat to let the student understand fully what you're talking about. My name is Qesheth, and I will talk to you later. Thank you.